All right. Well, I want to say welcome to everybody. Thanks for being with us tonight. We are back at the studio tonight. The last 2 weeks, Brett has run the show from Wyoming, and he did a great job up there. We had a few technical issues, but we expected a whole lot more than that with the remote app that we were trying to use. But we're going to even make that better. And I think we got some more upcoming shows that Brett will be doing for us there. Hey, if you're out there listening on shortwave on WBCQ, we welcome you. WBCQ is a very famous international shortwave station up in Monticello, Maine. They're just right there on the border between Maine and Canada. And we're on 7490 for 2 hours every week from 5 to 7 p.m. And if you're listening out there on WBCQ, you can always join us live here on Tuesday nights, Tuesday night on W5KUB.com here at 8 o'clock Central Time. So we'd love to have you join us here. We're on about every podcast carrier out there, such as iTunes, iHeart, Google Play, iNet Radio. We're on all of them. And again, I'd like to ask if you're listening to us on one of the podcasts out there, send us an email and let us know where you are. And also, if you're listening on the radio, I'd love to hear where you are and what the signal report might be. Send that email to Tom at W5KUB.com. Tom at W5KUB.com. Okay, so a couple of things here up front. Hey, hit that subscribe button. I don't know if you're looking, tonight we're on X, which is Twitter. We're also on Facebook, and we're also on YouTube, and we're also on W5KUB.com. So I don't know where you are. I'm hoping that you see a little subscribe button right over here. If you see that subscribe button right over there somewhere, hit that subscribe button. It helps us out a whole lot to get new subscribers. And hit the like button, if you will, and hit that notify button so we can so you'll know when we come on. We're going to be planning some stuff in between the Tuesday nights here this winter, and we don't want you to miss anything. So please do that. I'm back in the studio, and we got a lot to talk about tonight. I think I'm gonna give you a report on the Shelby North Carolina Hamfest. I'll tell you all about that in a few minutes. And let me see, is there anybody in the chat room that went to the Shelby North Carolina Hamfest? If you were in the Shelby North Carolina Hamfest, if you went there, tell us in the chat room that you were there. And I did meet a number of people there and talk to them, but let's just see if any of those guys showed up. I passed around some cards while we were there. Okay. So we're going to talk about that. I've got another little project I'm working on. It's the Motorized high-power LC antenna tuner that's going to go out at an antenna out back here. Over the next couple of weeks, we're going to be running that. I got a little video to show you about that. And we got Glen on here tonight. Glen is going to give us the presentation, the form that he gave us at the Huntsville Hamfest. So that's all coming up tonight. So let's just jump around the room here. Let's get all three of us in here. I think we can do that. There we go. And let's start with eeny, meeny, mighty, mo. We're gonna go with Glen. Hey, Glen, how you doing, man?
I was telling him to go with you, Brett.
How you doing?
Oh, hey, I'm getting there. I mean, I'm finally started painting, and that means that I get to move furniture in tomorrow a little bit, start cleaning up some, and it's a little bit at a time. It's slow going, but it's getting there.
Yeah, well, it takes a long time to unpack and get all. You'll still have boxes packed probably next year this time.
Well, the last running count is close to 150 boxes, not including all the furniture.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's that much. But I do have a little bit of interesting news. I can't go into a lot of detail. You'd have to get that from the horse's mouth itself. But I had a fun email exchange today with Rich Moseson, formerly of CQ.
Oh, okay. I haven't talked to Rich in a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he's doing good, and he and I had a very interesting email conversation today. And like I said, what he's doing now is up for him to talk about, but he's doing good, and he sends his best to us.
Well, that's great. Love to talk to him. Maybe we'll talk to him here in the next few days.
Yeah, that'll be good.
You know, I talked to we've got several new people that are going to be coming on here, maybe helping us co-host. And you know, hey, the more the merrier, and we're going to have fun. Guys, yeah. If you know Riley Hollingsworth, Riley just I talked with Riley this week. Riley wants to come back on the show as a regular. And, you know, Riley was the special counsel to the FCC Enforcement Bureau, and he was the one that, you know, enforced all the FCC regulations and so forth. Now, he retired from that, and then he went to the ARL and has become the, what's this, you guys know what his title is? The boss man. I'll just call him boss man.
Yeah.
He's the boss man of the ARL Volunteer Monitoring
Executive Director.
Oh, Executive Director? Okay. Executive Director of the ARL Volunteer Monitoring Service. So he'll be a good guy to have on here. So he's going to come on soon. He's kind of hard to catch sometimes. Busy guy. I sent him a note about 3 months ago. He never answered me. My son said he saw him down in Houston a couple weeks ago, and Riley told Chris that he wanted to come back on the show, and I said, okay. So I sent Riley another note, and I said, man, you know, hey, we've been asking for you. And Riley says, well, you sent it to my Gmail account, and I haven't checked that account in 3 months. Oh, man. You know, well, look, Riley, I'm going to give you a little pointer, man. Get rid of that email if you're not going to check it, man. Anyway, so Riley's going to be coming back with us, and Martin F. Chu, the founder of MFJ. We always have a great time with Martin on here. Martin wants to come back, but, you know, Martin is trying to sell all the MFJ companies, and it's tiring him out. And he's just too busy and too tired right now to try to get on here late at night. But we have a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun with Martin on here. And,
oh yeah.
I think he will be joining us soon when he can. Okay, so I didn't want to preempt you, Glenn.
Oh no, I was pretty much done. Go ahead and give it to Brett.
All right. So I'm glad you're getting unpacked there, and you got to get an antenna up now before winter. Get something up, a wire, you know.
As soon as I can find my end-fed antenna, I'm good to go.
And you know what? At that distance, you'll be about you'll be about 150 miles from me. And
174.
Is it 174? Oh yeah. You're over at Conway. Yeah. So we should be able to talk on HF. I think we'll find
probably 40.
Yeah, I think 40 would work good. And I want to start getting a group together, all of our group out here, to get on here and join us on HF. I really miss it. So maybe with you moving away will help to get me energized to start, you know, getting on the air and making some contacts with everybody.
Well, I've finally got a space in the house designated for a workroom and ham shack. So that's all organized and planned. The key is right now I'm playing musical chairs, getting the stuff in the garage, getting stuff in and unpacked and moved around.
Okay.
Everything's full. Let's put it that way. So I had to make room to get more room. So.
All right. Well, get unpacked, man. Get you that wire in there. Get some fire in the wire. That's all you got to do, man.
Oh yeah, that's the plan.
Right,
I've got all the rigs inside.
Let's get Brett in here. Brett, how you doing, man? What you been up to this week?
Well, let's see. This week I climbed a 50-foot radio tower, and I was up at the top inspecting the tower and changing some radio equipment around. And two hams drove by and pulled over and stopped and shouted their call signs up at me and say, "Hey!" They said it was a lot of fun. They offered to help, which was kind of cool.
Oh, that's good.
And let's see what else I've been up to. This just arrived in the mail, which is a lot of fun. This is an ESP32.
Yep.
And I'm planning to do a project with this. I'm planning it's a new sort of CW key, and I'm going to try to make use of the touch sensors that are built into this. And so I'm breaking out all of the Arduino stuff, and I'm going to do some of the things that Glen was talking about in the presentation that you're going to run tonight.
Oh, very cool.
And so that's the kind of things I'm up to, just lots of projects. And also I've been walking around town. As you know, I'm a candidate for to sit on the local city council, and I've been walking around knocking on doors, introducing myself to people. That is, it's rewarding. It's a lot of fun. Occasionally people don't want to talk to you, and they slam the door and they say, "No, not interested." But it's amazing how many good conversations you have. It's good to get out there and hear what people think. So that's it for me. That's what's been going on with me. It's been keeping me quite busy doing these things.
Oh,
well, Glenn is kind of an expert on that ESP32.
No, not yet. I'm an expert on the Arduino, but not necessarily the ESP32 yet. I'm heading there quickly.
If you need some help, I'm sure he can help.
Between the two of us, we can figure it out.
Yeah. Let me show. I was showing you before the show started. Let me see if let me just throw it on here for those, since we're talking about ESP32. Yeah. Let me put the camera on here and show people what we were looking at before the show started, in case they're interested. There we go. So this is an ESP32 here, and Glen's looked at this. I think Glen wants to do one. It's not focusing very well, but this is called a retro VFO, and I want you to look at
yes.
This is going to be, it's not very clear, but look, you think that this is a mechanical dial. It reads digital at the top, and then it's got two different layers here that turn, and look at this. That is not a mechanical dial, guys. That is all done with magic with the ESP32.
That's some seriously cool graphics right there.
Yeah, that's graphics right there, guys. And it reads the frequency. You can tune it in. It's like an analog knob, there. All right. All right, let's see.
Does it also read it out in digital?
Yeah, it does. Above it reads it digital. I think Glen's wanting to maybe possibly put that in some of his HW 12s or 22s.
Well, I've got an HW7, an HW8, an HW16, and HW101 just waiting to be modified.
Yeah.
So I got half the Heathkit line to play with.
Cool.
And I'm planning that VFO for those rigs. I think that would just make them look really cool.
It would. All right, I'm trying to look somebody up here on QRZ, and I can't find them. All right, well, that's good enough. Okay, so, hey, guys, I want to talk a little about, let's just get started here, and we're gonna go probably close to 2 hours tonight. And that's good because it will fit into our shortwave window of 2 hours. So it means I have to do less, video editing and adding stuff. But I want to talk to you about Shelby. And I think we had one person from the Shelby, North Carolina Amateur Club. I think he just checked in the chat room. Let's see if I missed anybody. Is there anybody else in the chat room watching that maybe went to Shelby Hamfest? Because I want you to back my story up. All right. So let's look at the Shelby here. Let me tell you, Shelby reminded me a lot of the Dayton Hamvention. So here's one of the entrances to the Shelby Fairgrounds. They were doing a lot of construction, but this is a big place. It reminds me of Hamvention, the way it's laid out. Scattered out really wide, and just a lot of area there. So another thing I noticed, you could actually rent a golf cart. You could rent your own golf cart to ride around out there. I don't think you can do that at Hamvention or anything, can you?
No, you can get a scooter at Hamvention, but not a golf cart.
Yeah, you can even bring your own golf cart. I watched people pulling their trailer up out there and taking their own golf cart and driving it right in. Let me tell you why. That is a big place out there. I don't know. It may be 100 acres. I don't know. You're going to see some pictures here in a minute.
Yeah. Could you use a Segway or a hoverboard?
Probably. I didn't see it out there, but let me tell you, I went out Friday. The temperature was right at 100, and I could only exist 2 hours. That's how bad it was, man. And it is so spread out, you couldn't see it all. Besides the outside, there is a lot of different buildings. But the buildings are a quarter mile away. And there'll be just a few hams in this building. I went into one building and only the wireman was in it. I mean, that's it. And he was like a quarter mile away from everybody else. And I'm thinking,
good grief.
I'm thinking, man, I have walked myself to death. I burn up. I can't see all this. And how do people know you're here? So I'm just going to go through. I'm not bad-mouthing it. There was a lot of people there. And it's just spread out. I think if they wanted to do anything to improve it, maybe they try to get it more compacted together. Well, this is in one of the buildings right here. This is called the Go Forth building. I don't know what that means, Go Forth. But that's the Go Forth building. That's where the ticket thing was. The building, a couple of these buildings are relatively small. And then some of the other ones. Now, this is about the only building that had air conditioning. The others did not have air conditioning. But you can see there's some people set up in there. Now, let's just look at some. I just took some random shots and stuff. Glenn, I need your help, man. What's that thing that's like an ice cream cone right there? What is that?
You got me there. I was looking at the feed horns in front of it, but I have no clue.
Well,
Brett, you got an idea?
Circularly polarized antenna, maybe?
Yeah, but it gets small on one end and large on the other end, man. I don't know, man. I mean, is it a broadband microwave receiving it? I don't know, man.
No, that's interesting.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway,
might be a sort of traveling wave antenna, but I'd have to research that. I don't know.
Mark P says it's a wideband circular antenna. I agree with that. I'll agree with that. So inside there, I mean, I ran across there's some service monitors they were selling and looked like they were working. Jumbo Risk on the left, circular. I don't know.
Yeah. KE4GTQ is saying the Goforth building was named after Joe Goforth, the fairgrounds manager for years.
Okay, all right. So we have somebody in here that knows a little about what's going on here. I'm just reporting what I saw. So, yeah, when I got there, they told me go to the Goforth building. Well, I kept calling it the Go-To building. And then that didn't work very well, and I called it the something Go something else building. So Go Forth. I thought, okay, it's Go Forth, but I realize now it must be the name of a person, not go forth and do something, right? Okay. All right, let's look and see what we got here. Hey, this is inside there. Look at this guy brought about 20 or 30 air launchers he built right there. You can see them. I think he wanted about $70 for them. He did a really great job building those. He even had an air gauge in the end of them there where you could actually read the pressure. I have built several of those. Didn't put an air gauge on it, but you can You can read off the air gauge of the device that you're using to put air in. Let's see, discon. Oh, nice. Okay. Let's look. Oh, look, this is something I kind of wanted to do, but I just can't get into it, man. This is a 630 meter ham band. You know, this is getting on down there, man, in frequency, really low in frequency. That's a coil there, and I don't know all about it, but look, there's smaller coils around the bottom, and then he's got the big coil around the 5-gallon bucket.
So that's a loading coil, so you can take a small antenna and tune it down to and tune it down to 630 meters.
Yeah, and you know, an antenna on 630 meters is going to be about 1 mile or 2 miles long, actually. So that's why you got to have something like this.
Now, is that writing on there? Does that say no flame?
That says no flame. Yeah, no flame. No flame.
Okay.
All right, let's look out. Let's just look out I went up some steps here on a building, and you can see about as far as you can see the flea market stretches there. This was Friday. Everybody hadn't got there yet, but that's one direction there. There's another shot of it, and you can start to see some of the buildings. See how far the buildings are away from everything. All right, let's look at some of the stuff people brought. You know, I wasn't familiar with this, Glenn. This is a Heathkit SB1000. I don't know if I ever knew they made this or not.
That has to be a very late model.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the SB200.
I've never seen it.
The 220, but I didn't know they made a 1000. This is probably, I don't know. I'm guessing it's got probably maybe 4 811s in it. Maybe somebody can look it up. Heathkit SB1000. I'm going to
bet 3500Zs.
No, that'd be too expensive. That's too expensive.
All right, here we go. I'm going to go look it up.
I'm guessing 811s. I'm guessing 811s. It could have 2 811s or probably 4. All right, somebody look up an SB1000 Heathkit. Tell me what kind of tubes it's got. I'm going to guess 811s. All right.
A simple and reliable single 3500Z grounded grid.
Is it? Oh, man.
3500Zs, yes.
All right, you got it, man.
That was because just in that era, the 3500 was becoming quite popular for amps.
Well, see, I've got an AL80B here from Merichon. It's got a 3-500 in it. Mm-hmm. It's a nice tube. It's a good tube.
Yeah, it was the next step up from the 811s and that era.
Yeah. Okay. What is this? This is a tuner, I guess. Tuner? No.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Yeah, I think it's just a tuner.
The AT5K HF antenna tuner.
Yeah. This guy had He had a ton of cables out there. Tons of cables. Can you tell me what this is? Don't read the tag. Can you tell me what it is? All right, man. All right. So, hey, you'll see anything at the hamfest, man. Look at this.
Oh, good heavens.
Yeah, it's elongated.
Yeah, look at that, man. Oh, man. I always wondered if that's a pickup, does that back must have to open up or something? I should have asked the guy if we could open it up, I want one of those. I mean, I've watched a lot of videos, pulling contests. I mean, it'll win in any pulling contest. I don't care if you're pulling a big truck or a tractor, it will win. I don't know. Okay. It looks ugly, but I like it.
I was going to say it looks like something we would draw in 3rd grade for cars.
Yeah. Well, but hey,
only a Musk could love it.
Only what?
There you go.
What was that?
Only a Musk could love it.
Well, I love it. I like it. And, I bet you Elon could probably set the software in there where it wouldn't have any limit on top speed.
Oh, yeah.
Can you imagine the thing hitting about 400? Man. I think they've got a lot of these EV cars throttled down to, a lower speed. I don't know, maybe 140 or 50. I don't know, but If they opened it up, it would go faster than that, I'm sure. All right, let's look at this. Now, here's another one. I've never seen this before. This is a Hallicrafters 2 meter and 6 meter, 6 meter and 2 meter receiver.
I have never seen that.
6 and 2, yeah.
6 and 2. I mean, it's
Wow.
cool, man. I mean, this makes me think back in the olden days. There was some really nice equipment out there. I mean, this is I can't say enough about it. I like it. Okay.
Yeah, Bill was saying Martin had one of those on his shelves in the back.
He might have. I wonder if that did FM. Let's see. I'm trying to read there. I can't tell what it. I'm trying to see what it did.
It's hard to tell.
I'm sure it did FM, but can you imagine working 2 meters with a tunable receiver and a tunable transmitter? Wow. All right, we're getting on outside. It's getting a little warm out there. It's starting to sweat a little bit. Got some Heathkit gear there. A nice amp, very clean.
Yeah, there's the more traditional Heathkit green.
Yeah. Now look at these two vintage. You got a transmitter up here on the left and a receiver on the right. They've been restored. $2,000 for that pair.
Wow.
$2,000, man. I don't know.
If you want to have the classics, that'll get you. But darn, that's a little bit pricey for me.
Yeah. Couple tubes. These may be like 4-.
I think they're the 400s.
These may be 4-1000s or 4-400s.
Yeah.
They also made a 4-250. I had a couple of those given to me, new one time, but these aren't the 250s. But he wanted $200. I get probably a piece. I guess that's
probably a piece. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the sticker on the other one there was off to the side.
Possum Town just checked in. Okay. Here's a B&W. B&W had some equipment out. I don't remember. They didn't have a whole lot out, but I think this is a transmitter. I know it is a transmitter. A B&W transmitter. So that was kind of neat to look at. All right. Well, Brett, there's you some tower. If you were there, you could have bought this tower. It probably gave you the trailer, and you could just haul that back to Wyoming, man.
Oh yeah, could always use more Round 25 sections.
It was a little.
Actually,
it was a little rusty, to tell you the truth. I looked at it. I don't know.
It actually almost looked like it's a crank up with that.
You know what? It looks like a section inside.
Looks like a section inside.
Yeah,
so that I think that's a crank up.
Yeah.
I'd have taken that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, may have been there. May have been.
Because that's what I need.
Yep.
Need to find me a nice crank up.
Yeah. All right. Oh, what's this? R390? I think R390. We used these in the Air Force. Man, I'd walk past 20 or 30 of these, all operating right in a row, and people with earphones on and copying down everything they heard. Man, this was a nice receiver. I always kind of wanted an R390, but the suckers are so heavy. I saw a guy buy one and carry it out. He had to carry it about 2 miles outside the gate.
Oh man!
I imagine that. I imagine that's pretty heavy, to tell you the truth.
That's why you bring your golf cart.
Yeah, and they were pretty nice about if you needed a ride somewhere, or if you were just getting too hot and couldn't walk, or you needed help. They would call for a golf cart. They would come by and pick you up and take you somewhere. I took them up on that a couple times, getting in and out, because my laptop bag weighed about 40 pounds, and from the gate to the building I needed to go to, it was like a half a mile, man. Oh, well. All right. This guy right here, he said he loves teletype. That is the printer out of a Model 28 teletype. Guys, when I was in the Air Force, they sent me to teletype school. It was 9 months long. I went to Shepherd Air Force Base in Wichita Falls, Texas. And I learned every bolt, screw, and everything on that printer right there. In fact, we learned several different ones. I imagine that that printer right there probably has it's probably got 900 or 1,000 parts in it, to tell you the truth. And it is one mechanical thing, but we don't use teletype here anymore. I used to have the old Model 15s, the Model 19s, and I upgraded to Model 28s, more modern. And then, hey, now you can do it on your computer. So I just got rid of all those, and we do it on our computer now.
Yeah, no more fights with the Chads like we used to have
right.
when I was learning how to program.
That's right. Well, here's in one side of the building. It just not much in that building. I'm not sure. There may be one other person to my left that was in there. At least he was out of the sun, you know. There's the wireman. He had a nice setup here. Let me see what's in the chat room here if I'm missing anything. Let's see.
Yeah, you were talking about the 28s. I used to have to do the 33s and the 35s, but when they broke, we would just swap out the whole printhead assembly and let somebody else fix it.
Yeah, and I worked on the 35s too. The 35 was the same as the 28, except it was an 8 level, where the 28 was a 5 level. Worked on that, and hey, guess what? After I got out of the Air Force, Western Union, the day I got out of the Air Force, I looked at a newspaper, and Western Union was looking for a teletype repairman in Memphis, and so I joined Western Union. I kept my security clearance because we had to support the naval base at Millington, and I already knew all the machines, and they hired me on the spot, so that was kind of interesting.
Very cool.
Although it was union, and I only lasted 1 year until the union did cuts, and then I was out on the street. Now I could have taken a job in Boston if I just wanted to run up there, but I decided I'd just get out of the Western Union, you know, and it was a good move, you know. All right, well, here you are. This building here, at least you're out of the sun. There's 2 or 3 people set up in there. I just don't think they got a lot of traffic there in these buildings.
Yeah, I think they could definitely benefit from some better space utilization there.
Yeah. Well, they sure have the space to add another, 20,000 people for sure, you know. Oh, let's see. What is it? OOC's attic? Top quality connectors. A lot of connectors, you know. This is typical stuff you see at any hamfest. And you see a lot of older just AM radios, you know, out there that people bring and sell. A lot of people collect. A lot of people collect the older stuff, and here's one of them right here. This is I guess an ARC transmitter, military transmitter. It looks like they have modified it, ham radio. The meters on the bottom have been added. I think the tuning capacitor there has been added. This was a transmitter. Yeah. It's got a roller inductor there and a capacitor, for the network. All right. You can see they got the spots marked off. It goes for a long ways, man, in different directions. Long ways. Here we go. What is this? This is can you tell what that is? Who makes that?
Oh, that's a National.
A National, okay. National. I'm not real familiar with the National stuff. I don't know how much stuff they had out. Now, some people did set up tents outside like this, but I guess it was so hot they didn't want to take them down. So if you wanted that tent right there for $125, you take it down yourself and you can have it, you know. You can see how wide the aisles are. I was trying to look at both sides, as I walked, but that was kind of impossible.
Yeah, can't do that.
You had to go down one side and back up the other side. They're really, really spread out, man. Really spread out. you can see the vast distances here where everything is just really spread. That's another one of the buildings there. That's the Go Forth building right there. That's where the ticket barrel was. If you had a ticket to put in a barrel, you had to go up there and put it in a ticket barrel. Glen, I put a ticket in. I did not win anything.
And it looks like they have wireless internet. Look at that tower, at the top of that tower there.
I guess they do. Maybe. You could rent your own golf cart, drive around, or you could bring your own golf cart.
Yeah, I definitely would have been renting a golf cart. No doubt about it.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't last more than about 2 hours out there either day. Yeah. Either day, just with that temperature. Now here's your ground plane 2-meter antenna here. I don't know what they wanted for it, but I guess you could bend it to kind of fit it wherever you wanted to put it. Let's see. Don asked any idea on attendance. I do not know. I asked the chairman. He didn't know. So I don't know. I think typically they may be running about 3,000, Don, in attendance. My understanding back in the 1990s, this hamfest pulled 20,000 people. But over the years, it's gotten lower and lower, and of course, the pandemic came and everything. So I think probably around 3,000 is going to be the number. Yeah. There's another shot. That's the shot on Saturday. I walked up a stairwell to a second floor there and took that shot. You could bring your own. You could bring your camper. You could put your camper right out there, basically, and right if in that area you would not have hookups, but down to very, very end, outside the fence, they had an RV area where they had electrical hookups. You could get 30 or 50 amp service, and they had sewer. And I think you could take your camper there for like $30 a night, which was a pretty good deal. But that was way down there. Again, some other buildings. That one little building there, that red building that you see in the center, that was the only place that I saw that you could buy, hot dog, barbecue, maybe get you a drink, was right there. Now it's a good little walk from over to the right here to all the flea market area. Let's see. More buildings. I'm back in the back, and a few people were in different buildings. There we are outside. Again, the weather was great, meaning that there was no rain. That Friday night, it did thunder and lightning really bad, but no rain actually hit the fairgrounds there. They had storms all around. But the weather was clear, but the weather was hot, man. It may have been a little cooler on Saturday, but man, it was pushing 100 degrees on Friday. Yeah, so I think that's all I've got on that. So I don't know. What do you think, guys? Are you going next year?
Only if they consolidate and give me a golf cart.
Well, man, let me tell you, the heat burned me so much. I don't think I'll go back next year.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah,
it's a long ways for us. It's about 600 miles for us to go over there. So, that and the heat and everything. Ooh,
yeah, man. The heat this year has been really, really bad.
Yeah. But yeah, overall, there was a good hamfest out there. A lot of people.
Yeah, they had good stuff.
They didn't really have any vendors. I think Wireman was the only vendor that I saw there. So I don't know if the commercial vendors are just starting to cut back on where they go. I didn't see anything like an Icom or a Yazoo or a Kenwood or anybody like that. Didn't see DX Engineering or nobody. Nobody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Right.
KE4 GTQ is saying Tower Electronics was there.
Yeah, Tower. I did not see them. I don't know where they were. They probably were there, but boy, I did not. I didn't find them. I thought about a golf cart, man, but it was a little late to get a golf cart. Oh well. Hey, again, our first time to Shelby, and it was nice to go see.
Mm-hmm.
So, and one of the reasons I went to Shelby was, of course, we went to the Huntsville Hamfest. We talked about that last week. And from Huntsville, we were about halfway over to our home in North Carolina. So I thought, okay, let's go to our home in North Carolina, because then we were only 3 hours away from Shelby. So we went to North Carolina. We stayed there about 9 days, and then we went to Shelby. And just very quickly here, I got 4 pictures for North Carolina. There I am looking up, camera looking down. Basically, I just set me up a card table there, and I've got the Icom 7300 there, and I've got an ID 880. That's an Icom rig there. They got a couple of nice repeaters in the area. So there I am there. There's a shot from down a little lower there. You can see, the radios. And I just put the antenna auto antenna tuner out on the front porch there. If you look at the bottom of the antenna tuner, you'll see 3 frayed wires. Those wires actually came from the United States Air Force maybe 55 years ago. We had many big number 12 extension cords, and I guess they got to where they didn't look safe or something, and the guy just gave me some, so I took like a 60-foot number 12 extension cord there, and finally I cut the thing open and pull the 3 wires out, the neutral, the hot, and the ground. And if you look at it, you can see the insulation is all hard and cracked on the wires right there. But guess what? I don't care about that. That's my radios, my counterpoise that I lay out. I usually lay them out 3 different directions. And then you can see at the top of the antenna tuner there, the single bolt at the top, that's for the antenna. And I just shot me a wire, about a 70-foot long piece of wire over a limb in a tree in the front yard. And that's what I used. And there are the wires coming off the front porch right there. So that was my portable operation. Made some contacts. DX seems to always be good over there. I mean, Europe and stuff was just booming in all the time over there.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's do this. We'll be right back. Don't go away, guys. Don't go away. Upgrade your station with one of Icom's fabulous HF radios. With the IC7610, faint signals are no longer challenging for DXers or contesters. The high-performance RMDR can pick out the faintest signals, even in the presence of stronger adjacent signals. This is the SDR every ham wants. With Icom's IC905 Mobile, VHF contesting is a breeze. This is an all-mode rig covering 5 bands with 1 radio. 2 meters, 70 centimeters, 1.2 gigs, 2.4 gigs, 5.6 gig, and with the optional CX10G transceiver, it will also cover 10 gigs. This radio features a large touchscreen with real-time, high-speed spectrum scope and waterfall display, easy D-Star settings, and a separate controller and RF module configuration to reduce signal loss. Explore the world of microwave with the IC905. For more information on Icom radios or dealer locations, go to icomamerica.com/amateur. All right, guys, we are back. Let me just to comment on some of the chat room there. Let's see. Hey, yeah, the golf carts. When I did ride in a golf cart, it did have the top, keep the sun off, and you could feel the breeze. and it felt pretty cool while you're riding around. So yeah. All right, what's Bill saying there? Bill says he got a bigger antenna tuner. Oh, I don't know, Bill, if you got a bigger one or not. MFJ, I don't know. I like my SGC 237 right there. It is a very nice little 100-watt antenna tuner, and that's all I need when I go on these trips. Now, I do have here an MFJ 1.5 kilowatt tuner out at the base of my my extended double ZEP antenna. So I've got a big one out there too. Let's see. Anything else? Huge inductors. Yeah. Well, I bought this inductor.
Yeah,
I bought this inductor at Dayton last year. I mean, it's a pretty big inductor, man. It's pretty big.
Yeah, they're saying that dunce cap antenna is a log periodic for 400 megahertz to 2 gig.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, that's what guest number 2 is saying. He said he used it for RFI readings to certify equipment for
Cool.
Part 15 compliance.
Cool. Now we know exactly what that was. Okay. All right, guys. It's 8:50. We're pretty much on schedule here. Talking about antenna tuners and rotary inductors. I've got a little 5-minute video I'm gonna pop on, and then we're gonna get to Glen, and we're gonna see Glen's forum in entirety, and it's pretty good. I watched it again today, and it's pretty good. We're gonna watch that in just a few minutes. So let me jump over to this video, show you something I'm working on. I've got a halfway vertical, in-fed halfway vertical outside, and it's about 60, what is it, halfway, 64 or 66 feet, something like that. Anyway, I had an inductor and a capacitor to set it for 40 meters, but I was wanting to try to use it on more than one band. And with an inductor and a capacitor, you're stuck on one band. So I got me Ballon Designs. I got me a 49-to-1 to put on there. 49-to-1, I get a really good SWR on 40 meters, something like 1.5-to-1. But the bands don't completely overlap properly. So 20 meters, 15 meters, 10 meters, the SWR is higher. It's like 2.5, maybe 3-to-1. Now my amplifier, if you go above 2-to-1, my amplifier will shut down. So that antenna, basically, the 49-to-1 didn't give me the results I wanted. So I'm going to put a remote tuner out there, and I want to show you. I put back together my motorized remote here, and I'll give you a little demonstration of it. I'm going to take this and put it out there at the base of the antenna, and from inside I can control it on any band, and I should be able to tune that antenna to any band. So this is what it looks like here. So stand by. Here we go. All right, let's go over to the workbench. I want to show you a project I'm working on again. You've probably seen this before, but I'm putting it back together again. This is going to be legal limit manual or auto tuner. So what I want to show you tonight is I'm bringing back to life my motorized tuner for outside. And I'm going to show you just very quickly how it works. I'm just getting it back together and getting excited about putting it on one of the antennas out back and trying it out. All right. So you guys have seen this part of this before. I'm just now putting it back together. But basically, I've got a inductor here and a large capacitor, and we've got some little DC motors, 12-volt DC motors that drive them. I built me up a little controller here. It's pretty simple. So what we got is 2 double pole, double throw switches. We need about 12 to 15 volts. So hey, I just use an old laptop power supply into this. Then we come out of this 4 wires. 2 wires go to the inductor, and 2 wires go to the capacitor motors. And basically the switches are just wired to reverse the current. So if I hold the capacitor switch down this way, the capacitor runs one way, and if I hold the switch up, the capacitor runs the other way. Alright, so 17 volts is a little high for these motors, so I just put me a couple little resistors in series with the motor to slow it down a little bit. But let me show you how this works. See if I can get this on here real quick. See if I can get it all together. Here we go. So for capacitance, for inductance, you can watch the inductor turn. If I hit the down switch, you can see the inductor turning, and the number of turns are becoming less. Now when it gets to the end, if you watch the yellow light there, when it gets to the end, it automatically stops and it won't go any further. So I have to go back the other way for it to start working. And the way we limit that is we got some limit switches here with diodes across them and a little sensor. And when it gets to the end of the coil, it flips the micro switch, it opens it, and everything stops. By having a diode across the contacts, if you turn the current around the other direction, you can start it rolling again. So let's look at the capacitor. The capacitor runs pretty slow. I'm going to hit capacitor here. You can watch the blades here turn. So you should be able to see them making their turn there. I can go back and forth. You can see. So let's see if we can tune this up to say an antenna. Now I don't have an antenna I've got on here. This is going to be located outside, but I've just placed a resistor on here to indicate a value. Let's say a half wave or a long piece of wire. So that's my antenna right now. And let's see what kind of match we get on the CA500 here. We're going to turn it on. Let's see if we can get a match for about 7180. I'm going to set this for 7180. All right, let's see how I want to operate there. All right, let's see. Oh, look, the SWR already is 3 to 1. 3 to 1. The impedance is a little over 100 ohms. So let's play with the inductor and see if we can bring that down. I'm going to hit the inductor. Watch the needle there if you can see it. And as I change the amount of inductance, you ought to see a sweep in the needle there. Here we go. Looks like it's trying to come down. It's going back up. Let's try the capacitance. Okay. There's a dip there. All right, let's go back the other way. Play with the capacitance a little bit. You can see as the capacitor turns, you can see the dip in the SWR. Let's get it down as low as we can. That's pretty low. Now let's play with the inductor. Maybe give it a half a turn or a quarter turn. And let's see if we can get this down lower. It's a little higher. Let's see. Okay. Not bad. Not bad. Not bad. And by playing with alternating between the capacitor and inductor, we should be able to bring it down. There we go. That's a pretty good match right there. That's about 1.2 to 1, and you can see it's right around 50 ohms. I could probably get it if I play with it. Probably get a little better. But that's not bad at all. Okay. So you can see You can see basically, I'm going to put this outside at the base of the antenna. The antenna will just hook to the output here. We'll ground it, and coax runs to it. And what I've got is I ran some Ethernet cable out there in my underground. So I'm powering this through Ethernet cable. You can see the jack right here. So I've got an Ethernet running out there. I'll just plug this into the Ethernet here inside the shack and outside, and I'll have my connectivity there using 4 wires of the 8 out of the Ethernet. So you know, again, I'm old school. This is old technology. It's not a solid state Arduino based smart deal. You just have to hit the buttons up and down and watch the SWR meter. You know, a kilowatt antenna tuner will cost you $800 to $1,000. I can't afford many of those. I have one of them outside on my extended double zip, but I'm going to put this. On my half wave 40 meter vertical out there, and use it and tune it for different bands. Now, the half wave may cause me a problem. If the half wave causes me a problem, I'll shorten it. I'll take 5 feet off or add 5 feet or something. But right now I've got an un on there, 49-1, which on 40 meters has a very good match. But when you get to 20 meters, 15 meters, 10 meters, it's over 2-1, and my amplifier needs under 2-1 or it will shut down. So this should allow me to use that antenna with almost a 1.1 or 1.2 SWR on all bands just by touching it up with the controller here. You can watch it. I'm going to turn the capacitor. So there's about the, let's see, just tap it, tap it, tap it. There we go. That's not a bad match right there. Not a bad match. So anyway, I thought you'd like to see that. I'm going to try to get that out there in the next week or so, and I'll report back on how well it's working. I think it's going to be great, and it lets me have a good resonant antenna, you know, on all bands. Okay, guys, so that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And basically, that's just an LC tuning network. Capacitor, I mean the inductor in series, but the capacitor goes from, say, the antenna to ground. When you have that configuration, the LC configuration with the capacitor on the right side, it will tune high impedances. If, for example, you need to tune low impedances, the capacitor needs to be on the right side, I mean the left side of the coil, and that way it will tune you know, the opposite. One way it'll tune high impedances, the other way it will tune low impedances. And you could simply build you up one of those, and you don't even have to put a switch in it. You could actually just reverse it, just undo the PL259s and turn it around and screw it in. You got low impedance, turn it around the other way, you got high impedance. So they're pretty good. One other thing I might want to do on there is I might want to put me another gear on there to drive maybe a 10-turn, 20-turn pot as the inductor is turning. And what that will do, that will send me you know, a varying resistance of position, just like you do in a rotor, and use 2 of the 4 unused wires back to here. And I'm going to put me a big meter on there, and I can adjust it where I can watch that needle on there, and I can label it, you know, 40 meters, 80 meters, 20 meters, and where I can just tune it to where that needle is set at the 20 meter point, and I'll know I'm roughly at the 20 meter point. Anyway, that's I just wanted to show you that tonight. I'll be trying that out outside here pretty soon. Guys, before we get into Glen's, we're going to get into Glen's right now. We're doing real good on time, almost perfect on time. Glen, you got anything you want to say about this before we jump to it?
Yeah, am I correct in seeing that your call sign label on the switch box was WA5KUV?
It probably was back then. Yeah, I pulled that out of the closet yesterday, and that was. I had my secretary make that little label to go in that little box. I've got several of those boxes around. It's just basically 2 double pole, double throw switches. That's all's in there.
No, I was just saying it was kind of cool being recycling old stuff.
Yeah,
I do that all the time.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. All right. How about it, Brett? Anything from you? You want to jump in here with anything?
Well, let's see. Not much else except that this weekend I'm going to be getting ready to go to the High Plains Roundup, which is a big camp out and cookout and swap and raffle at Kirk Gowdy State Park in near Cheyenne, Wyoming. So if anyone is in the area in Colorado or in Wyoming or over in Nebraska, you might want to come to that. You can find it on the web by searching for High Plains Roundup. I go every year. It's a lot of fun. They're going to have a chili cook-off this year, and I intend to participate.
Okay. You guys head out that way and see if you can find Brett and say hello to him. All right. Hey, let's look at. Hey, tell us the name of this, Glen. It's not just Arduino. Is it Next Generation? I forget the name of it.
Yeah, I like to theme all of my forums, and I don't like to do the same one, for more than a year. This year's, it's entitled Close Encounters of the Microcontroller Kind. And I had hoped to have a big audio and video portion to that to go along with that theme, but as you'll see in the forum itself, I wasn't able to make that happen this year.
Okay. All right. Well, let's jump into it and see what we can learn. So here we go.
I know it's a little bit early. This gives me time to go and play in the hamfest too. So I'm looking forward to it. As I've been saying, I've been on the run for almost the last 2 years, and this is the first real time I've had a chance to slow down. And we'll explain why. Come on in. Oh. Saw it was me and said I need to move on. I do have apologies for those that were here last year and heard what I was planning to do this year. I had indeed planned an all-new forum with Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and some other things going on. Hence the name Close Encounters of the Microcontroller Kind. We were going to do an audio-video themed event with lights and all the cool stuff. With the ESP32, unfortunately, things got in the way. I retired recently. I think a better term to say was that I was put out to pasture. They did this just before Thanksgiving. However, during that time, I've written 2 books. The AWRL book. The audio is very low.
Oh, well, I'm trying to make it louder, and I don't think I can push it any louder.
In the meantime, I also retired.
Everybody turn your volume up. I think that's what we're going to have to do.
Other things. Of course, this meant that I had to get my house in Mississippi ready to sell, and it was not ready.
Let's see if I can do something.
I had to put together I had to rebuild it, essentially. And so I got that done, and I've been looking at Eastern Tennessee to retire to, and if those of you that have looked at the economy realize that the prices there have tripled, have tripled in the past 2-3 years. Thank you, economy. So that priced me out of that market, so I still wanted mountains, so I looked a little further west. And
is that any better?
The absolute perfect place. Still wanting to be near the mountains, I found the Ozark Mountains. Now, I've been coming to Arkansas for a while, so it's not a strange place to me. Found a couple places to look at, did a driving tour. Absolutely fell in love with Mountain Home. Those of you from Arkansas, I fell in love with it.
But I needed airport access and interstate access to come to hamfest this time. So Conway was out. I mean, not Conway, Mountain Home was out. But my criteria had to be near the mountains, interstate, airport. Narrowed this down to a few locations, and I made appointments to look at a few houses. The last house of the day, after exhausted driving all over looking at these places, no HOA. Large backyard with no trees. The reason for this is the house has a solar panel power system. It generates about 500 kilowatt hours a month back to the grid, meaning I can run that kilowatt without having to pay. But the beauty of it is I've got plenty of tower space in that backyard. 3 doors down, I got a ham, K5 GSL. So I got a buddy 3 doors down I get to meet. And of course it met all the other criteria. So now this meant an absolute race to finish that old place and get approved for the loan, get all that stuff, make the offer, blah, 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 which is absolutely nuts if you've tried to buy a house recently. It is insane. But amazingly, it all happened quickly, smoothly, and closed on this place literally just 3 weeks ago. And I have been moving ever since. However, this move has probably become the next Three Stooges move. I was promised same day or next day move. 7 days later and a couple of nights of sleeping on the floor, my furniture arrived. Both headboards were broken. Every box was crumpled. Other things were dented and dinged. Fortunately, I said, you are not handling anything fragile, my ham gear, my Arduino gear, nothing. I will haul that. They went over first. They absolutely love the place, by the way. They're doing good. But this literally has been, and then you call the moving company, it's like, oh no, we never do next day. There's DOT regulations and blah, blah, blah. 7 to 10 days is the best you can hope for. Where was this up front? So now they're pulling all the audio and everything, and we're having a little discussion. But this all meant, because of all these things happening simultaneously, I did not have time to build what I was hoping to do for you today. So instead, I updated last year's presentation and a couple others. This is relatively new, but it's not the all new that I had planned, so I apologize for that. Hopefully, I'll have that done next year. And definitely in time for, well, it's not going to be able to go with me to Orlando, but the next forum I do in person, that I drive to, I will hopefully have it. So this is why you don't get that super new cool one, but I have updated this, and now things are slowing down. This weekend literally marks I am done with this moving. I am done. The house got listed the other day. My life just turned into retirement. And this morning I got an email from my publisher at Elector saying, will you do us another book? That makes ARRL wants 3, Elector now wants 4. Welcome to retirement. So who am I? I am a now retired, network engineer and technology consultant now in Conway, Arkansas. I was first licensed as a novice back in 1973. God, I miss those days. But I'm also the author of ARRL's Arduino book series, QST articles, product reviews. I've got a really cool product review I'm working on now. It's called Radio Builder. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but it's really cool. And I also show World Champion Maine Coon cats. That's Godzilla there. That's a girl. The boys are bigger. Feed them. Godzilla there, these were the ARRL calendar cats back in 22. And her sister, Rodan, there, yes, she loves to play with the Arduino as well. But we also got a new one. I had a friend that had a pair and she couldn't keep them because she's caring for her mother, and I helped her find a home for them. And the girl found the girl a home with a friend in Arkansas, and the boy, I said, no, you're not going anywhere. So I adopted him. Of course, we call him Sasquatch, and you can see why. He is absolutely huge, but he's like a puppy. He is the sweetest thing you'll ever meet, but we don't tell him he's a dog. So how big do they get? Well, this lady that just walked in is about the height of this judge in the second picture, to give you an idea of how big these cats are. And that's the one I call the little one. She's got a 5'9" vertical leap. How do we know this? Ceiling fan poles at my old house were 5 feet 9 inches. As a kitten, she could jump up and hit it like a volleyball. Amazing. But he's bigger. That's a 42-inch TV. And he's every bit the length of that TV. And he's still got another year or so of growing to go. And as you can tell, he keeps my place when I'm writing. He lets me know where I'm at, just like a bookmark. So, but today I'm finally going to answer that one big question that y'all have, why you're here. Thank you, by the way. You're not here to see the cats. You're not here to see me. But the answer is not 42. No. I've got a microcontroller. Now what do I do? That's a question that I've been asked an awful lot. And my answer has always been, it's so easy. Just go think up a project and build it. And that's really not been fair to you because you're new to the creation process. And, you know, the microcontroller's new. It's more of a thought process and order than anything else. But it really wasn't fair to tell you that as a new person to the Arduino. But, you know, Radio Shack's now gone. School's not teaching STEM real well. There's no more places to find electricity and electronics anymore. Schools and universities, forget it. You know, there's just not good electrical engineering and microcontroller electronic style classes. So where do you get these skills? I'm going to tell you the answer. It's in ham radio. Look around you. Look at your friends. How many friends do you have that are building their own stuff? DIY, soldering, tinkering, playing. Where are they? They're all hams. That's where you find them. Get in your clubs and you find there's always this one guy off in a corner that's as crazy as me, and he's always got this new cool toy that he built or designed or whatever. This is where you find these people, this knowledge, and thank God with ham radio, we love the open source, we love the sharing of the knowledge. You know, you want to learn, we will help. So, but next thing, what parts and tools do you even need to start playing with these microcontrollers? And don't be afraid. This is the cool thing. This stuff is so cheap that if you blow it up, oh my God, I've just cost you less than a cup of coffee. You've blown up $3. Don't be afraid. And a lot of these things are forgiving too. It's going to be hard to blow them up. But websites such as SparkFun, Adafruit, and others can help you. The ARRL handbook also is a great place to learn electronics and learn the basic roles of the various components. Once you do that, then you can learn how to combine them with your microcontrollers to build these projects. And don't be afraid to wire something wrong. They're very forgiving, inexpensive to replace. This is the cool thing about it. Back in the day, you know, you fried an 8080 microcontroller or microprocessor, you're out $100. I've done that a time or two. You know, now it's $3, $4, $5. I mean, I got parts bins that when I open the drawer, you see them all. They all step back and they push one to the forward saying, take him next. But start out simple. Start with the Arduino Uno or Nano. Buy some basic components, but don't go overboard. A basic assortment will get you a long way, and it's very inexpensive from places like eBay and whatnot. And here's an important note, especially when it comes to the hobby world of microcontrollers. Parts is parts. They're all coming from the same place. You know, some little shop in China is making these things. Sorry, you're supporting the Chinese economy, but the reality, they're all the same quality. Very little difference between the two. And I've been buying them from eBay and Banggood.com and AliExpress for years. And I think I've only gotten 1 or 2 bad parts. So save yourself the money. Learn how to solder. Learn how to hold your soldering iron. This is not how you want to do this. Um, yeah, but actually some hamfests offer forums and have areas that teach soldering and kit building. Is there a Huntsville hamfest person here? Yeah. Right. Yeah, and I highly recommend doing that. Also, next hour, Joe Eisenberg in the next room is doing his kit building forum, and I highly recommend that as well. Um, but between those two, that'll give you a lot of the skills that you need to put this stuff together. Tools and test equipment. As with any hobby, ham radio, you can spend as much as you want or as little as you want. But you don't really need a lot to build these basic microcontroller projects. In fact, you hardly need anything. A basic voltmeter will do, or a multimeter. But if you're like me, as you get bigger and better, you want bigger and better toys. And before you know it, you're buying the big stuff. Just don't tell your friend, partner, financier, however you want to do this. Get them involved, and that way they want to buy it too. But the big thing, you want to get involved with a good soldering station. The one here is $50 from AliExpress. This one also has a hot air gun that you can use for surface mount soldering if you want to. I don't surface mount. I am not that type. My surface mount boards look like something at a barbecue. But you will need that for surface mount, but I use it for heat shrink tubing, and it's wonderful. Get you a component tester. These are very inexpensive. I mean, I've gotten to the point that I can barely even see and read the color codes. They're so thin and screwed up color-wise, and now they got the 5-bar resistor codes and the numbers on the capacitors. I'm like, I give up. No, that's the security system. And that way it doesn't walk away. This is a problem I have when I build is, yes, she wants to help. Believe it or not, none of them have ever been burned, but they are literally underfoot, underarm, whatever when I'm soldering. And you can't fight them. So, but I prefer this when I want to know what it is. You get a transistor and the markings are rubbed off. Well, guess what? Stick it in there and I know exactly what I got. And so that's what I use. It's about $10. Get you an oscilloscope at some point as you get going along. You don't need one, but as you get going, they really make life easier because now you can see your waveforms and timing and things like this, and you're probably going to want one. And they're really not that expensive anymore. You know, you can go down to the hamfest and get the old analog style, and there's one out there I saw for $50. Got some really nice ones. There's a gentleman along the wall. I bought one of my scopes from him years ago. Got some great older Tektronix scopes. But this one is $180 on Amazon. It's a 2-channel storage scope, 200 meg. So it does everything. Get you a logic analyzer. This is kind of like an oscilloscope except for digital signals. And you'll be able to see up to like 16 channels simultaneously. So now you can see all of your timing relationships in your projects when you start getting into the more advanced stuff. And again, that's only $45. And these tools will really let you build the higher advanced projects, not the basic introductions. Here's what the display would look like on a fully blown logic analyzer. So you can compare all of your signals and timing and everything to make sure that your software is doing what it needs to do in the time frame that you want it to do. Get you a development system. Most people start with breadboards and jumpers. That's where I got my start. This is great, but as your projects get more complex, you're going to want a more stable development environment, and especially in my case, that right there is kitty crack. They see that and it's like, oh yeah, baby. But this is the Phase Dock workbench, and I call it a breadboard system on steroids. you use a system of interchangeable components, and they actually click and mount into here, and then you can mount the components on these things called slides. And you can customize this. This is actually a simulator that I built for the AR-40 rotator. I built a controller for it and used the phase dock system to do all this. And this is the Uno with a debug board on top, a little breadboard area, and then the display. And then over here, I've got buttons and switches to emulate the rotor controller. This was actually a project in one of my books. Actually, it's my third book. And I reviewed this in April 2020 of QST, and they're here. As a matter of fact, Bud's in the back here with phase dock. And see him, and he'll take good care of you. He's got some cool stuff. New from phase dock, they just released their new Intro to Microcontrollers kit that includes an Arduino Uno starter kit, a selection of additional electronics, and Bud, correct me if there's some new stuff here. Integrated organizer for the components, the 7 by 10 inch base, some click connectors and slides, and it also includes lessons, projects, and some code to help you program and learn the Arduino and microcontrollers. Bud, is there anything else? Okay. And then coming soon, they're developing a robotic arm kit. All right, we're not all into ham radio and stuff. We've got kids, we've got family, we love the robotic stuff. Stop by their booth and see a demo of this thing. But they actually have this, and it's going to be available soon. But this is a little robotic kit that you can learn to play with. Now you're going to have to learn how to read schematics. This is one of the trickier parts. This is the core of electronics. Nearly every project is documented in some form of a drawing that we call a schematic diagram. So, it's nothing more than a symbolic representation of the components and connections needed to recreate. What? Oh, okay. How about that? Not a problem. But it's nothing more than a symbolic representation of the components and the connections needed to build your projects. SparkFun and Adafruit, again, have excellent tutorials on how to learn to read schematics. There's also a number of other websites that can help you learn schematics and basic electronics. And again, the ARRL handbook is a great place to start looking. And again, parts is parts. For all intents and purposes, they're all the same. So no matter where you get them from, take the best price, the best deal, whatever. You know, just get what you need. So save that money. And a lot of these online suppliers offer free and low-cost shipping. I'm trying to remember the last time I paid shipping on parts. And I got Amazon Prime, so that's even better. But you'll want to stock some basic components so you don't have to keep singing Mr. Postman while you're waiting for your stuff to come in. I had a printed list of parts prepared, but like everything else, it is in a box somewhere in my garage amongst the other 124 boxes. There was not a chance that I was going to find them for this weekend. So I'm going to ask you to send me, if you want this list of recommended parts, send me an email at kw5gp@arrl.net, and I'll send you a copy. Just don't ask today because I won't reply today. I'm at a hamfest. But there are typically only a handful of resistor values that I use, 220, 330, 470, etc. And unless otherwise needed, the small 1/8 watt is fine. We're only playing with 5 volts here, low power. Typically, I also only use a handful of capacitor values. Again, 25 volts or higher. Don't have to worry about it if I'm running 5 volts, 12 volts. I'm covered. Diodes and transistors, I generally have a power rectifier. I like the 1N4004. Small signal diodes, Schottkys, and Zeners. Just a spattering. And for transistors, I typically stick with the NPN 2222As and the 3904. Those handle just about every switching need I need at the low voltage level, the LED level, etc. Now, if I'm driving a motor, yeah, I'm going to want a bigger transistor. And of course, voltage regulators and LEDs. Something to think about is your average microcontroller can only drive about 800 milliamps of power off that USB connection. So you're going to want some external voltage regulators, and I get a handful of 5, 12, and 3.3 volts. And the world is trending toward the 3.3 volts, so I'd focus there. in your projects and design down the road. You'll also want an assortment of LEDs, the 3 and 5 millimeter, red, green, yellow, the RGB, which is red, green, blue. And then I like the WS2812 addressable LED sticks and strips, which is like here, this is an 8 LED, and you can actually address each individual LED and set them to one of 65,000 colors. And they're very inexpensive. Got some other basic components, potentiometers. I do both the standard 3/4 turn and 10 turn types. The SPST mini switches, little 5 and 12 volt relays, and DC power connectors. And of course, I love using the power pole connectors. So standardize on stuff, and there's virtually your entire parts list. I probably haven't spent you more than $50 at this point. Get you some TFT displays. These are only a couple bucks, $3 or $4 or $5. I prefer the color ones, the ST7735 1.8 inch and the 2.2 inch displays. Most of them are designed for 3.3 volts, so you want a 3 to 5 volt level shifter module that's right here. You can also use resistors as a voltage divider, but I've really found those level shifters are much easier to use. They're actually bi-directional. They work great. They're cheap. But there are some really cool things you can do with these TFT displays. This is a library that's out there that allows you to emulate a dial on one of these little TFT displays. So imagine the radio you can build with that little dial library, and it's free. And this library is actually available at Digital VFO with analog dial V2. You can incorporate this into your own sketches and projects. Some other displays that I like are the organic LEDs. These are very bright LEDs that you can see in the daylight. And the Nokia 5110, which is from that old ancient Nokia cell phone. It looked like you were calling in an airstrike. But now, for the time being, I do avoid the e-ink displays. They are gorgeous. They are cool. I think they're going to be our future. They retain the image even with power off. They're very low power, except in the fine print. If you update them more often than every 3 minutes, you risk hardware damage to the device. They are not designed for that. But so that's something to think about. While they do produce this cool thing, you really need to watch that refresh. And this came directly from the Adafruit website. So for now, I'm avoiding the e-ink stuff unless it's like an ID badge or something like that that doesn't change very often. Some various modules that you're going to want to look at as you build your projects. I love this 809850 direct digital synthesis module. Think of it as a digital VFO for your Arduino projects. It will go from 0 to 40 megahertz with an accuracy of 0.029 hertz. No drift, no nothing, bang, you're on frequency. The SI5351 is also very similar. It does 8 kilohertz to 150 megahertz and has 3 separate outputs, but its output is a square wave. When you send a square wave over the air, what happens? You get harmonics everywhere. So you're going to have to smooth that out before you use that in RF applications. Not a big deal, but you need to be aware of that. Voice modules. We're getting closer and closer to that old HAL 2000 computer. You've got the DF Robot Gravity Speech Synthesis module. This is great for text-to-speech applications. It's got a built-in onboard speaker, also connections for external speakers, and it connects using a standard TTL serial interface or the I2C bus. You now have a voice playback and recording module. This can record 8 to 20 seconds with 3.2K sampling, so now you can play music and stuff with it. It's got an onboard microphone, an on-chip 8-ohm speaker driver. Think of this as a great start for a contesting voice memory project. How many of you are sitting there at field day calling CQ all day long? At the end of the contest, you're like, I got a voice. Punch the button. I actually use the voice memory on my FT450. All I do is I have foot pedals. Left sends a short CQ, right sends a long CQ, and the far right button is push to talk. So it's left, right. I don't touch a mic. I got hands free to log or whatever else I need to do. So this would be a great start for a voice memory project for a contester voice keyer. Now you got voice recognition. The Audim Movie Shield, this is a standalone voice synthesizer and speech recognition shield for the Uno. It supports up to 150 full sentence voice commands and is independent of voice, the speaker, you. It's got a built-in mic. It supports English, Spanish, and German. This is a voice synthesizer. You could build your own English to Spanish or English to German translator right on this one board alone. The DF Robot Gravity Voice Recognition Module supports 121 built-in commands and allows you to add 17 custom commands. This came directly from their website, including cat meows. That's going to be a problem for me. If they know that they can speak and tell me what they want, I am in deep, deep trouble. It connects using a standard TTL serial interface or the I2C. That voice or meow command-controlled cat feeder or ham shack really is not far away now. So if you hear a meow on 20, you know what happened. And there's still some more modules. You've got the gravity gesture sensor that can now recognize 12 hand gestures with a sensing range out to about a foot. Connects using standard serial or I2C. So now stop and think, I want to build a rotator controller. Turn left, turn right, stop, go up. I'm tracking satellites. Go down, stop. I had not thought of that. Anybody want one of these for free? Because I'm going to be getting rid of mine. But no, the possibility. This is where I'm going with this. This is the cool thing about the Arduino. Imagine the possibilities. You're already there. Think of what the stuff you want to do in your shack. I'm leaning back in my chair. Turn the dial on my radio. Oh wait, I want to go upper sideband. No, lower sideband. Boom. Do it with a gesture now. Think how much fun you're going to have with that. We went the wrong way. And here's another one. While many of these newer microcontrollers do have integrated Bluetooth support, you'll also want to have some of these standard Bluetooth modules around for those boards like the Uno that don't have built-in Bluetooth. And these can be used as either a master or a slave. And we're going to discuss an interesting project with the HC05 in just a minute. You also have satellite technology. We can give it a GPS. So now you can have a grid square tracker. As you're doing a rover in a VHF contest, you can track your grid square and let it tell you what your grid square is. It can also give you highly accurate time for JT9, JT65, FT4, etc. And most of them have an internal antenna, but some have the capability for an external antenna. So you can work from inside a building. Got a wind speed module coming from Miami and tracking hurricanes and stuff. And of course now in the Mid-South we got tornadoes and wind speeds and stuff. Wouldn't you like to know how fast that was that took off your roof? They got a wind speed module known as a hot wire anemometer. This has no moving parts. What it does is it measures the temperature. That heats one of these and measures the temperature required to keep it at that temperature, and that gives you your wind speed. And it's all automatic. It tells you this. And the version C module can go from 0 to 60. If you are in Kansas, you can get the 150 mile an hour version. That will tell you what tomorrow afternoon is going to be. So, but these are really cool if you're going to be building weather projects. Think about that. Now you can actively monitor without having to be there. Got a lightning detector module. Of course, if you're going to have those winds, you're going to have that lightning too. Wouldn't you like to know about that? So you got the lightning detector. This can detect lightning up to 40 kilometers away, which is like 24.8 miles. It detects both cloud to ground and cloud to cloud lightning. And it's resistant to man-made noise, so it only really detects the lightning. And it's got the I2C and SPI interface. It's very easy to use. You've got an MP3 player module. So now you can actually even expand that voice memory out to even further. You can hold a whole QSO and just push buttons. Not have to say a word. Uses a micro SD card. It can play MP3, WAV, WMV files, and communicates using a standard TTL. You can have 100 folders of 255 files each. So imagine the capabilities. And we don't have to think ham radio here. Think music. Think your own little players, your fun stuff. Tutorials. You can do all of this. Some of the other modules, and I purchased these on an as-needed basis from like SparkFun, Adafruit, DF Robot, eBay, etc. And when I order one, I always order two. Why? One of them is going to go boom. Invariably. Not because it's a defective part, just because I don't treat them right. I'm always playing with cutting edge. My first words, if you ever hear these said, run, I wonder what if. You start hearing that stuff going on, I'm about to use a part a way it wasn't designed to be. Somebody actually accused me of being a serial violator of Ohm's law. I didn't deny it. Guilty. But you'll also need some basic supplies to construct your projects. I like the 60 by 80 millimeter prototyping boards. They easily fit inside the SolarBotics enclosures that I like. You'll see those in a minute. And I also like to use a prototyping shield that will mount on top of an Uno. And most of my projects will actually fit in there. And this is a crystal-based project, and I couldn't tell you what it is. But I think it's a tone decoder. But to wire everything together, I use 30 gauge Kynar wire wrap wire. It's available in a lot of colors, so you color code everything. In my case, orange is plus 12, or orange is 1, there's my ground, there's my signals, and I think that's the blue is plus 12, so orange would be plus 5. And that's the way I put everything together. I like everything in sockets. Why? Smoke. So much easier to change if they're in sockets. Plus, this lets me repurpose. When I finish a board, I want to move on to the next project, maybe for the book. So if it's in a socket, I can take that special module and use it somewhere else. And I just label this board for what it is, so I know what it is, put it in my stack, and off I go. For microcontroller modules and cables, I love snatching up those old floppy and hard drive cables. They make perfect little interconnect cables. And you get the DuPont style 2.54 millimeter header and socket strips, crimp all that together, stick them in the headers, and you've just built your own little connectors. And you can cut them down to whatever size you need. I use them for Uno sockets and nano sockets and everything. And then to mount the finished board, I like to use these SolarBotics enclosures. They're little laser cut. You can also go online. If you've got a laser cutter, you can go online and get the cutting files for these. But they just need basic screws and nuts and washers to put everything together. I use the little 2.54 or 2 millimeter screws and nuts to put the display on top, things like that. And an entire project fits in one of those little boxes. These are your enclosure options. I like to use the laser mega safes. They're available in clear, black, dark blue, and transparent red. And so you can make almost anything into a microcontroller enclosure though. Think Mint 10 standard metal enclosures, darn near anything you can find. Cardboard boxes, you know, they all work. And a lot of these are available on your 3D printing design sites. So if you've got a 3D printer, you can go get them. For my finishing touches, a trip through Hobby Lobby. They actually have water-soluble decals that you can print. And all you have to do is spray some fixer on it before you wet it, and the ink won't run. And now you've got your own little computer-based labeling system. And they also have if you go online, you can get them that will work in laser printers that don't need that fixer. So you can print your own full color labels. So now, what do you build? doing on time? I'm good. So if you're starting out, there's a number of good places you can go to learn how to build these projects. Of course, you can find them in the many books online, including mine. And then SparkFun, Adafruit, Instructables, and others have a lot of projects on their website. So how do you get started? Well, for years, I have recommended the Dr. Arduino series of prototyping boards. If you've been in my forums before, you've heard me talk about them. I reviewed them. But they no longer sell those boards as of a couple months ago. He has shifted to the learning side of the Arduino with their new Maker Academy. This is a projects-based learning strategy that's going to allow him to offer all kinds of microcontroller projects on a subscription basis, along with the tutorials and instructional material. I'm going to miss those boards because it's so handy to say, go get you a Pioneer, and there's your starter kit. So this is kind of, the world changes, the best way to put it. And I talked to him about that, and he says this is the way to go. The online business of selling and everything, he said the taxes just got to be a pain in the butt. So he says, I shifted to a subscription-based scenario. But they do recognize that ham radio is a large part of his business. So he will have a significant number of ham radio projects, including a satellite tracking system that's actually based from the ones in my books. And one cool aspect is the option that you purchase all of the components. You see a project you like, it will have an option that you click, and it will order all of the parts for you and send them to you in one package. If the project involves 3D printed stuff, there will be an option for you to click, and he's got somebody who will send you the 3D printed components. So you don't need to buy a 3D printer. Now, as part of your design process, you need to know what's available on the Arduino. You've got digital analog pins, but you also have these buses you've heard me talk about. The I2C is the inter-integrated circuit. This is a 2-wire bus. It's an industry standard. It's used by a lot of microcontrollers. You've got the SPI, the serial peripheral interface. This is another industry standard bus. Most of the modules you're going to find will support these two buses, or one of the two. You also have the 1-wire bus. This literally uses 1 wire plus a ground. The power is on that wire as well. There are also 2 versions of this wire, 1-wire communication. One is for Dallas Semiconductor. The other is Max Detect. They are not compatible, but they only use 1 I/O pin. So this is things to handle. You've got the controller area network. How many of you are familiar with that? All of you can raise your hand. You drove over in one today. It's in your car. That's that ODB connector that's under that your diagnostician tech connects to. He's connecting to your controller area network bus in your car. And then, so now you can build your own car diagnostic tools and stuff. How about sticking one in there and you can build your own little mileage meter, GPS, whatever you want, right from that connector. You also have UART technology. This is the old standard RS-232 style communication. But now, which microcontroller do I want to use? There's 100 of them now. As a general rule, I recommend starting out with the Arduino Uno and Nano and work upwards from there. You'll be surprised how many projects you can fit on the Uno or Nano platform. It uses an 8-bit 16 megahertz CPU with 32K of flash, 2K of RAM, 1K of EEPROM. It's got 14 digital I/O and 6 analog inputs. It runs off of the USB port or 7 to 20 volts DC. $3. It's got the STM32. This is, again, it has a variety of options, but this is the 72 megahertz ARM Cortex version, 64K of flash and 20K of RAM. Now, when you hear those numbers and compare them to your PC, they're not very big numbers. But for microcontroller, you can fit almost everything you need in there. You've got 32 I/O pins. 12 of them can do pulse width modulation. You've got 14 analog inputs, 3 UARTs, 2 SPIs. Costs a whopping $3. You've got the ESP32, and this is becoming my favorite. It's got 160 to 240 megahertz CPU, 4 to 16 meg of flash. up to 77 I/O pins, 10 capacitive touch switch sensors. Who was I talking with touch? Oh, Brett. There's your capacitor touch switch sensors. 4 SPI channels, 2 I2C, and 3 UARTs. 8 channels of infrared remote control. So now you can build your own TV remote controller and have it automatically turn your TV to your favorite channel at certain times. Up to 16 channels of pulse width. It's even got an onboard magnetic Hall effect sensor. Again, $3. Yes. Yes, supports Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. Yes. For some reason, I didn't put that on there, but yes. The Arduino Nano 33 BLE. It's a pin-compatible substitute for the Arduino Nano, but it is not 5-volt tolerant, so it's not truly plug compatible. 64 megahertz, 32-bit CPU, a mega flash, 8 12-bit A to D pins. It's got a built-in 9-axis inertial measurement unit, accelerometer, gyroscope, magnetometer, Bluetooth, and Bluetooth BLE. $26 board. You've got the Nano ESP32, again, not plug compatible, but pin compatible, up to 240 megahertz with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth LE. It both supports the Arduino and MicroPython. So you've got choice of 2 programming languages. It's $20. You've got the Arduino Nano RP2040. That's basically the Pi Pico. It's, again, pin compatible but not plug compatible. 133 megahertz dual core, 16 mega flash, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and Bluetooth BLE. Built-in microphone and that 6-axis inertial measurement unit. And again, MicroPython and Arduino support. You've got the Arduino Uno R4. This is a pin-compatible Uno replacement, and it's 5-volt tolerant, and it will let you change your Uno up to a 48 megahertz box. And the Wi-Fi version also has an ESP32 up to 240 megahertz. Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, A to D inputs, and digital to analog outputs. Onboard CAN bus, just a little bit of everything. They have 2 versions. The Minima does not have the Wi-Fi stuff on it. The Wi-Fi does. $20 and $27. Then you got my personal favorite now, the Raspberry Pi Pico, dual core, 133 megahertz, 2 mega flash, 256K RAM. This is just a workhorse. Those of you who've seen that forum I did a couple years ago, this has become my absolute go-to favorite. It even has an on-chip real-time clock and temperature system. Costs a whopping $4. And the cool thing is, this can run multiple languages. With this little boot select button, it will actually use the USB port to pull down the language image that you want to run. You can run C++, MicroPython, CircuitPython, 2 versions of BASIC, and of course the Arduino IDE. Yes. And at some point you're going to want to design your own Arduino projects, or microcontroller projects, not just Arduino anymore. So this means you're going to want to document your work in a standard, easy to understand format. There are 2 basic free schematic creation tools that you can use to document. Up to this point, I have used the Autodesk Eagle free version. However, they're transitioning to the Autodesk Fusion. It will still be free for personal use, but there's limitations. KiCad is a free open source suite for schematic capture, PC board layout, circuit emulation, and built-in features. I personally am transitioning everything I've got to the KiCad, and it's all free and open source. If you want to practice with the Arduino and several other microcontrollers, there are several web-based simulators you can use. Arduino Simulator is an open source online simulator written in JavaScript and actually runs directly in your web browser with no other hardware needed. Supports the Uno R3, the Mega 1280, 2560, and the Nanos. WowKey is a browser-based simulator that supports the ESP32, Arduino, and Raspberry Pi Pico. So you don't even need to buy the hardware to learn how to use this stuff. Go online and play. Here's some new technology. Meshtastic is an open source technology that uses LoRa, which is long range radio technology, to build a long range off the grid communication network. Think mesh networking. It uses the ISM, Industrial Scientific Medical Band, and has a distance record of 254 kilometers. So you can create huge nodes. 915 megahertz. Automatically forms the mesh network to rebroadcast messages to other nodes. Auto detects them. Builds the network all automatically. Supported on the ESP32, the NRF52, and the RP2040 microcontrollers. And go to meshtastic.org for all of that. I will be playing with that. But now it's time to take a giant leap. You've heard me often say that when it comes to the Arduino, you're only limited by your imagination. And I still believe that to be true. It really is that simple. And once you get into it and start playing, you're gonna see it. For my Arduino books to this point, I focus primarily on the Uno and Nano, primarily because of their low cost, simplicity, ease of use. But what's next? It's actually downstairs in chat radio. My original book, or the third book I should say, More Arduino for Ham Radio, is still available. But my new one, The Best of Arduino Projects for Ham Radio, just came out. And thank you. I will sign this for you in a moment. But they just now recently released this. I don't even have my copies yet. He got a copy before me. ARRL and I have worked out plans for future books on ham radio applications for the Internet of Things and the Raspberry Pi Pico, and of course the Arduino. I do have an upcoming QST article about a Bluetooth wireless CW keyer that's been in operation at W1AW for over a year. Let's read that again. Bluetooth wireless CW keyer. Wireless Bluetooth wireless CW. Think about this. I've got a keyer. There's no wires. And it keys the flex radio at W1AW. People have been keying at 1AW with that, and after they've done their little QSO, they pick up the little thing and hand it to them and say, where's the wire? How are you connected to the radio? And everybody's just been bum-fuzzled by it. The projects have been upgraded with modern components such as TFT displays, new text-to-speech modules, and more. New features have been added to the projects. But wait, yes, use a pair of Arduino Nanos and those HC05 modules. Main unit plugs into the key jack in the rig, and as far as the rig's concerned, it's a plugged-in keyer. Been used there for nearly a year, running up to 35 words a minute. Nobody ever noticed. Theoretically, it's been tested up to 60, but I can't do more than 13, so don't ask me. But there's more. Recently finished the Arduino Elector book that I showed you here. This one is available from elector.com, and I believe it's also on Amazon. This includes 10 new updated Arduino projects. These are the projects here. But now it's time for me to enjoy retirement, which means more time for projects. More books, maybe even a cat show or two for the new kid on the block. But why I do what I do, part of the reason is I work with microcontrollers, write the books. This is what I consider fun. It's a challenge. I wake up every day looking for something new to do. This is always something new. But nothing ever stays the same. Things are constantly changing. So when it comes to the world of microcontrollers, I'm going to say once again, you're only limited by your imagination. And of course, rules were meant to be broken. Don't let the laws of physics stop you from thinking projects up. You just need a different approach, bigger hammer, explosives, more voltage, things like that. But we have plans for other books. Right now, it's like 3 for ARRL, and as of this morning, I just got an email from Elector. They want a 4th book. So now we're talking 7 new books over the next few years. But your journey is just beginning. You're builders, thinkers, creators, inventors. You're a perfect match for this world. You're going to love this. Imagine the projects that you can do. Hopefully, I've given you enough ideas so you can go home and say, hey, I want to try this. I'm here to help. If you need help, contact me. But imagine what you can do and then go build them. Hopefully I've given you the building blocks to start. Next year, hopefully I will have that all-new forum that I promised you this year. And again, I apologize. The working title is still Close Encounters with Microcontroller Kind, but it's going to be completely updated with some demonstration stuff. I'm already thinking up and designing the associated hardware for it. All I can say is look at that picture, and who says you cannot hear a picture? That's what I have planned for next year's forum. Thank you. Quickly, questions and comments? Yes, it is. Earl, oh, you're going to give it to me? It will be available from w5kub.com at the very least. I will make sure that Tom posts it. Yes, sir. I will make sure that this presentation gets published on w5kub.com or on my own website, which is kw5gp.com.
I talked to Tom last night. He confirmed that he's going to do a show today.
Okay, great. So we're all set. Kevin, thank you. I appreciate it. Hopefully I get to see y'all next year. Perfect.
All right, guys. Sorry the audio was a little low, but that's the best we could do. That was recorded, I think, with a telephone or something there at Huntsville. Anyway, I went to the office. I brought up the show, and I was able to turn the volume up enough on the speakers there that I heard pretty easily the entire presentation. Thanks to Glen for doing a presentation there. We will put it on our YouTube channel. So I mean, it's recorded in this show. If you go to this show on YouTube, you'll see it. But I'm going to try to edit the sound a little bit. I'm going to try to bump the sound up on Glen's port. Well, I'm just going to upload Glen's portion as an additional separate video, and I will try to bump the audio up on that. Thanks everybody for joining us tonight. We had a great time. Hope you got something out of the show. We're right at 10 o'clock and right at the end of our 2-hour segment on shortwave. So good night, 73s, everybody. You've been watching Amateur Radio Roundtable, a show about ham radio, shortwave, electronics, and other things. See you next week.
73, y'all.
So you're saying I can ask this cat any question?
The cat is connected to the computer. You just type in the question, it will read his mind. There the answer comes.
You're the man! I've been looking for this for weeks.